What's going on? It's the RapNerd, and I just got out of seeing The Black Phone 2. It's a direct sequel to 2021's The Black Phone, so if you've not seen that movie, you definitely want to watch that before watching this one because there are a lot of intertwining of storylines here. So this picks up some years later, and Gwen and Finn are now in high school just trying to get past the things that happened, but Gwen starts having these dreams about these kids that need help, and she also gets whisperings of the grabber, and it takes them to this camp to figure out what the heck is going on. Now, all of that's in the trailer. Really, that is the vague plot line, but as you dive deeper, more things are introduced, and man, I gotta say, I loved this movie. God damn, what a film. This was a horror experience, man. Absolutely loved it. And I have to say, the Black Phone 1, I thought it was cool. I will say when I watched it, I was a little disappointed because I thought it was going to be more to the story than what I got. It's more of a horror thriller with some paranormal type things going on, whereas I thought it was going to be a lot more paranormal going into it. So that let me down when I did see it. But it's still a good movie at the same time. Like, I'm not going to say it's a bad movie because Scott Derrickson is a great director and writer. And I forgot the co-writer's name, but they made a good movie. But I'm saying that because the sentiment is, if you love the first one, you might not love this one, and vice versa. And since I was just cool on the first one, this one gave me everything that I wanted and assumed that the first one was going to be. The horror is ramped up to insane levels here. The grabber is vicious, more sadistic, more brutal than he was in the first one by a long shot. I feel like the first movie really alluded to his brutality because, you know, they show spurts of these scenes when the kids are getting grabbed up, and of course you do see some things, but here he is way more violent. There is a lot more gore. Even so, within like the first 40 minutes, there is a sequence that happens when they first get to the camp that blew me back in my seat. I was like, whoa, they are not playing in this one. God damn. So since I mentioned him, I'm going to start with the grabber. I love how he was depicted in this movie. I think he was in it for a great amount of time, and I feel like he wreaked a lot of havoc on these people, man. You know how Freddy will joke with you and have comedic relief while he's doing these terrible things, but the grabber, it's none of that shit, man. It's just pure hatred, violence, anger. His voice, you know, the way Ethan Hawke just talks as him, I feel like these kids are in serious danger because he is a serious threat, the way that he's just conveying himself. Because, of course, you've seen the trailer, the grabber is pissed that he died, right? And that's the whole reason he is back to torment him. So you can imagine the type of like wrath that comes with it, and you can hear that in his voice. You can see that in his appearance, the mask, the just the bloody nature of how he looks. It's all like some demonic type shit when he comes back, and they play it really, really well. And I love how he plays this cat and mouse game, and you'll see when the movie is rolling. But I just love how sadistic he is with what he's doing, man. Like, oh man, you just gotta see it. I love what they did with him here. And next I'll get into Finn and Gwen. I think that their performances in this film are so great. You can see how both of them are having to deal with things from the past. You have Finn, who is just hardened, blocked off, just, I want to beat him myself, and also self-medicating to try and get over what he went through. And you know, of course you would after something like that. But then you have Gwen, who wants to be this nurturing creature to her brother, knowing that he went through these things, and she wants to help him as much as she can, but she kind of can't because she doesn't realize what he went through. So I feel like seeing them, you know, bounce off of each other with these different things, it really made for an emotional movie. And their journey as the film goes on is actually beautiful as well. There was a moment that I shedded a tear because there's a conversation that happens right before the third act kicks off between them two and their dads, and it just really was very powerful in the performance and how it was played. And the next thing I have to talk about is the direction. Scott Derrickson, oh my god, he needs to be mentioned more when we talk about horror directors and who is holding the realm for the best directors of horror, because he should be mentioned here. Has not released one bad movie. He released a movie earlier this year called The Gorge, which is in my favorite movies of the year, but now he has this movie that is in my top 3. Honestly, it's Sinners, Weapons, and In This, and Black Phone 2 is fighting weapons for that number 2 spot. I'm gonna be real. He is the master of terror, the master of tension. For me, this movie feels a lot like Sinister in the way that it preys on the dread of everything. I love how when you're in a dream sequence, you get that really film grain fuzzy look to let you know you're not in the real world, and the fact that they kind of switch in and out of the dream world and the real world let you know where you are. And I think that it was done really well, because there are moments when the dreams start happening even outside of when she's obviously in bed. Like Gwen will be sitting on a bench and she might fall asleep, and when the cinematography changes to that fuzzy look, you know we're in a dream. And I appreciate that a lot, because I've seen movies handle dreams and reality where you don't really know if it's a dream or it's a reality until you see something far-fetched happen and you're like, oh, this is definitely a dream. So I appreciate the changing of that, because when you get into the dream world, you know you are in for some wicked and sadistic shit. So it kind of straps you in to be like, oh, here we go, what are we gonna do now? And the movie really provided a level of terror that I didn't get from the first one. Again, when the screen goes fuzzy and you see Gwen start to walk around in this dream, you know the grabber's gonna show up somewhere. And the way that Scott depicts it by moving with her view in a handheld type shot, and she'll look in the corner, you'll just see it's just eclipsed in darkness. It just adds a thing of fear. And even when it's broad day, being set in the mountains of Colorado just makes for a beautiful backdrop. And of course, we have to talk about the elephant in the room. Is it like Elm Street? To me, you can definitely like link the two, but I still think it differentiates itself enough to not be like Elm Street. And what also separates itself from the Elm Street films too is it's nowhere near as campy. It takes itself 100% serious, and in my opinion, just feels a lot more dangerous and violent. Not to say that those movies aren't, but we already know in the 80s how they were handled. Those movies are very fun. They're definitely violent, they're definitely gory, and they shift into body horror. Mostly, this one here, it's like a traditional slasher that somehow has superpowers, and that's crazy. You know, it throws out concepts of what's going on, but still doesn't really give you concrete answers, which I feel like is cool, because it leaves room to explore more if they want to. Because even though this movie ends with a nice ribbon tied to where it's its own story and that's it, they could easily bring this back if they wanted to. And speaking of the Howl part where the grabber is back from the dead, there is a sequence when they discuss that, and it's a bit of an expositional dump. It's pretty stereotypical for movies of this nature, and it comes with a trope of this subgenre, but it really didn't bother me like that, because I think there's enough going on in the film where the random throwouts of ideas isn't as like, that's left field, why would you know that? Nah, you have characters that have dealt with this before, so they're being like, let me just think from what we did and how we did it. So I do like that, and there's a mystery involved as well, that once you get to the camp, it's not just cut and dry. You start to learn more and more things, and it makes the first movie a little better because of the sadistic nature of the grabber. This motherfucker is sick in this film. So all in all, this movie ripped for me. I want to stop before I spoil it, because there are so many things that I want to talk about. But again, movie just released, and I want y'all to go in here and get the best experience that you can like me. I absolutely loved it, and it was worth the wait. So if you've seen the Black Phone 2, let me know in the comments what you thought about it. Which movie do you prefer, Black Phone 1 or Black Phone 2? For me, this one easily is my favorite of the two, and it's going to join my winter horror movies that I watch annually, because I love the setting and the snowy hills and mountains. It just makes for a perfect cozy watch in the winter. So if you like this kind of content, make sure to like, subscribe, and if you already are subscribed, thank you. And until next time, peace.
RapNerd Productions, no capping, that's word to mommy. Instead of banking on it, now rapping is just a hobby.